All right, Kronos. So this is going to be really quick. So I'm here on the 3-month chart, and we talked about Kronos hitting internal to external range liquidity. So you can see this gap right here. Price did drop into that the quarter of July 2024, and in the very next quarter we did hit external range liquidity. But take a look at how we closed after hitting that level. So we went above the liquidity and we came back down into the range from this high. So after hitting external range liquidity, it's very common to get a reversal, and a great area of liquidity to go after would be the low that entered the fair value gap itself, which would be this low down here. So we did get very close, as you can see in our last quarter, Q1 of 2025, we did get very close. Now, perhaps another broker's chart, right, depending on where the feed is coming from, they may show a wick going just below this area, but on this current chart it's just not showing that. But more importantly, let's take a look at where we opened in our new quarter, Q2. We are basically in the middle of the previous quarter's range. Okay, we're on a really high time frame chart. Inside bars are extremely rare, so this would be the quarter that Kronos does something crazy, right? It's either going to go above 16 cents or below 6 cents. So let's pair some technicals with a little bit of common sense, or I should say fundamentals, really. Technical side, inside bars are rare on high time frames. Anything above the daily, anything on the daily and higher, it's pretty rare. Pair that with the sentiment, all right? Tariff sentiment that I keep saying in these videos. All of those taxes on products being funneled down to the customer. The stock market, the US stock market having the worst performance in the past 2 years. All right, everyone's really talking about recession. You've got JP Morgan and big institutions screaming recession. Where do you think price would flow to easier? A higher 16 cents or a weaker 6.5 cents? Okay, it's apparent to me that the current sentiment would say that we would flow down to 6.5 cents this quarter. Could that change? Absolutely. But you'd see the sentiment change along with the technicals. Buy side liquidity has already been hit, and we have sell side built up, right? We've got relative equal lows just sitting here, and a brand new quarter that just opened in the middle of the previous quarter. To me, it just seems like it's easier to go after that sell side liquidity at 6.5 cents. Again, this is just my opinion from a technical standpoint. It's not that I hate Kronos or I think it's bad. I'm just looking at technicals and the sentiment. My latest Bitcoin video, I talk about price going below Q1's low, and right now that's at 76,600. So I'm expecting Bitcoin this quarter to still go below 76,000 early on in the quarter. Like, I want to see it in April, that we just dip down below Q1's low, and that could be enough to send Kronos to 6.5 cents. So that's what I'm looking at right now. If I hop down to the monthly, yeah, right underneath this level, you have a fresh monthly imbalance. That, again, another area of liquidity that just hasn't been hit. As I'm looking right now, you can see we are within the range of March. So even though this month just opened, we have not taken out the high of March, and as of right now, the candle is facing down. That can change, but take a look at these lows at February and March. Again, relative equal lows that are sitting down here in the form of sell side liquidity, sitting right above a fair value swing low, right, from the 3-month chart, and another area of liquidity in the form of internal range structure, which is this fair value gap right here. There's just a huge cluster of sell side liquidity waiting to be tapped into, which is why I feel like we will see 6 cents, potentially even 5.5 cents in the coming weeks. All right, so that's all I have for Kronos. For this to turn around, I'd want to see, from a bullish standpoint, I'd want to see price pop up into this sell side imbalance right here. Right, so between January and March, I'll draw it out, and I'd want to see this invalidated. So instead of doing something like this where we go internal to external, I'd want to see it go internal, fail to take out these lows down here, these equal lows, and instead find some support and go higher towards this high, all right, at 22 cents. Only then would I feel like, okay, we may be out of the slump, but I'd be very wary if we do something like that and the sentiment hasn't changed on a macro perspective, all right? So keep an eye out for that. Again, I just short and to the point, I think that we can still see 6 cents on Cronos as of right now with the current sentiment.